Hey guys, it's Melissa and Melissa back. I know we were off for a couple weeks. We hope everyone had a great um, holidays, I guess. But we're really here today to talk about liver health. So lots of people, we head into a new year. People have their resolutions. I'm not a huge fan of resolutions, but I am a huge fan of habit changes
Yes.
and kind of rerouting consistently, right? But I think a big trend we see is people doing dry January or, again, really getting into healthy living programs, which is, again, those are all great things. But we want you to really understand, I guess, why would you be doing that? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we really want to talk about liver health and wellness today because your liver is super important.
Mm.
I think it's probably, I mean, I'd say it's what, maybe like second to your heart, Melissa. Like it's just like it's a
Yeah.
very important organ.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not working, then Melissa just said very little else is, and that is really true. And I think especially if people are feeling kind of stuck with weight loss stuff or feeling lousy, that can be an area to look at for sure. And there are some great herbs that can really help your liver. So I'm sure we'll touch on that today too, and just how do you continue to create more health for that organ, which is going to give you more health overall, right? Um, and I was saying to Melissa too that one of the things was a few years back when I was doing some testing with a different functional practitioner, they had said, "Oh, you have a little bit of fatty liver." And I was surprised because I was like, why would I have fatty liver? But stress, you guys, I know we've talked about
Mm.
stress a bunch on here, you know, actually caused that. It doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be that you're a person who, drinks a lot or, eats a bunch of sugar or whatever. Our lifestyle in terms of those things can impact it too. So that was pretty surprising to me to learn. And so I have a tea that I love every day that I drink that's got a lot of good liver stuff in it. But again, I'm sure Melissa can guide us on some other awesome supplements to add in. But yeah, so we're going to talk about your liver today, guys.
Oh, I love how you introduced this and really, kind of putting in perspective how important your liver wellness is as compared to your heart. I love that. Thank you. Because it kind of puts it up there. I mean, we don't think about it, but it's this really big, I think it's big organ that's kind of tucked under your right ribs, right? And it takes up so much space right there, right tucked up next to your diaphragm. But everything in your body goes through the liver, everything. And so you were mentioning, Melissa, that, even if you don't drink to excess or you haven't done, things that we normally think of as damaging the liver, it can still become very damaged and slow and sluggish and fatty just because of all the other kinds of things that are coming into our body and our body is not being able to clear because that liver isn't working well. So I love how you opened this up and just like, this is a really important conversation. And we don't really think about our liver, right? It's just there, it's doing its job and it's doing its work and whatever. But if we don't take care of our liver and make sure that it's working optimally, our entire body suffers. And sometimes it suffers to extreme. Yeah.
I mean, what are some symptoms, Melissa? I know I was mentioning that things I think I see frequently are like, low energy, sluggishness,
Mm-hmm.
fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Being
you know,
bloaty, slow bowel habit, like you aren't able to go to the bathroom every day.
yeah.
Sometimes literal pain under
Mm-hmm.
that right rib. And if the liver is having trouble, your gallbladder probably already has been having trouble because it's one of the front runners. It usually gets in trouble before the liver does,
Yep, yep. Yeah, which is
or
interesting
at the
because a
same
lot of people
time.
get their gallbladder removed, right?
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
I just want to cry when I hear that because
I know.
our gallbladder is such a hero in our body and it's not recognized very often.
I know. You're like, you don't need that. And I'm like, when I hear
Oh,
people say that, I'm like, do I want to fight this fight right now? Maybe not.
right.
But well, and skin issues, right?
That's
So,
huge.
if you're having a lot of acne,
Mm-hmm.
rosacea, eczema again,
Psoriasis.
psoriasis, yeah, it's typically
Mm-hmm.
your little liver's having a hard time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are some simple, tangible things, Melissa? Because you know me, I'm like, you tell me not to do something or cut out 100 things, and I
Mm-hmm.
just do that. So, but not everyone watching might be as
Mm-hmm.
gung-ho as I am about like these are what we have to do right now. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, the first thing I would say is alcohol and sugar, and making sure those aren't a part of your daily life, right? Um, and the liver does regenerate itself, guys. It's what, every 6 weeks, right? Like that's pretty
Yep.
exciting. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's amazing. You catch the little lizards and their tails come off.
yes, yeah, yes,
I often think about that because our liver is one of the only organs in the body that can regrow. It's freaking amazing.
yeah,
But when the liver is being damaged, one of the things we need to think about first, and you hit it on the nose, is what's coming into our bodies.
yeah,
Right? Alcohol is not helpful. Sugar, when we're talking about sugar, we're talking about cane sugar, especially processed white cane sugar.
yeah,
Those are two that are really, really hard on the liver. And one of the things to think about is what is your food intake? Because if you're eating a good, clean diet, and I know you've got a 30-day food arrangement that you like to lead people through to really support cleaning up not just what you're bringing into your body, but what your body is able to then output.
yeah,
So if you're like lost and you're like, how do I even do this? Contact Melissa. She has an amazing 30-day just getting started food plan. But doing something like that, cleaning it up, because so many times toxins that our body has to figure out how in the world to process comes in through our food. The other thing to think about is, what are we putting on our bodies? Especially us gals, right? What are we using for makeup? What are we using for creams? That goes straight into the body. There is no barrier. It goes straight in. So often people don't realize how that works until they use like a progesterone cream or something, right? You rub it on, goes right in the body. And they're like, oh my goodness, are you serious? I'm like, yes, everything we put on our body. Deodorant, lotion, what is in it? And what is our body then having to process through because of that? So really cleaning up what's coming in our mouth and on our bodies is a huge piece.
mm-hmm.
So stopping the crap.
Yeah, yeah. No, that is huge, you guys. And again, if people need help with that, I can help with that piece of it too, because you don't realize, so it's within 26 seconds that, those carcinogens and products end up in our bloodstream, and that's fast.
It's crazy.
Right? Crazy fast. And so if you really think about how quick that can happen, then, the awareness is like, wow, like, I need to get a handle on this like immediately, right? And I think you brought up deodorant, which I think is a big topic, which I know I talk about a lot with women. Really avoiding aluminum based for a multitude of reasons, not just your liver, right? And what are some supplements you recommend, Melissa? Like I know I love a tea that we make that's got licorice root, dandelion root, marshmallow root, uva ursi,
Those are all
nettles.
good.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because, whenever I drink it, I always say I feel like I just kind of like shrink. It's one of the first things I usually have in the day. And it just really, I feel like
Let your body clean.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of our products that it's probably a 2 a day for me, to be honest with you, but, or I'll make a big batch of it and just kind of drink it throughout the day. But, I know I've seen also, what is it? Choline, chlorella. I mean, gosh, there's so many liver things out there. So what else, Melissa? What are some other things that you would say are like,
Yeah. So one of the things to think about is when you're wanting to really help your liver begin to flow again and work how it's supposed to, is to
Mhm.
make sure that you're going to the bathroom. You have to be having a bowel movement.
Yeah.
And I know that's, whatever to talk about, but that's really important. And when we say a regular bowel movement, it doesn't mean every Friday morning.
Right.
It is every day, at least once a day. And
Yes,
if
in
that's
theory, that's
not
regular.
right, it has to happen every day, at least once. If you're going a couple of times a day, that's amazing. And it should not be, something that hurts or you really have to strain to do, or it shouldn't be diarrhea and a lot of gas. So if that is the case, we need to start with something simple like you were talking about, is a tea. That is perfect. So whether it's a liver detox tea, whether it's something to really help with the bowel moving, there's like one called bowel mover or liver detox. I don't know what the tea is that you're talking about that you like
So
to
we
use.
make a clean tox one through Arbonne, and actually
There
also
you
has
go.
peppermint and elderflower in it. And I just love it. But it's like funny, everybody
Mhm.
loves that tea.
Mhm.
But it's, I think, one of our top, I mean, it's a very affordable product, but I feel like it's one
Mhm.
of our like unsung heroes because
Mhm.
of what it does for your liver and your
Mhm.
kidneys, quite frankly, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and it's funny. I mean, it's not funny that you bring up the bathroom thing, but we were talking about our 30-day last week, and one of my good
Mhm.
friends who, um, that's how she came into our company, and she was talking about that, like how she used to be constipated all the time, and I think a lot of women go through that,
Yeah.
and
Especially as they get older.
yeah, and they don't
Mhm.
realize like that's not normal, you guys, and
Yeah.
so if that's something that's happening for you, that's a big red flag. Like there's other things going on,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is a great opportunity to, talk to Melissa and try to get to the bottom of what that is. But I think, piece that I guess now that I talk to so many people about diet, how they're feeling, whatever, that's something that comes up a lot for women.
Mhm.
And I think
Yep.
we need to not be like embarrassed to talk about it and say, like, listen,
Yeah.
because we all know that you don't feel good when that's going on, right? If that's the
Right.
pattern, then you're not feeling good. So I think it's really important to then manage expectations around that, right?
Yes.
And say, okay, I should be going on this once a day, and how am I going to get
Mhm.
there?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think starting with a tea is really gentle.
Mhm.
It's a good way to begin because a lot of times, so I'm going to crawl in my soapbox for just a minute.
Yeah, get on
Uh,
it.
so many people are, especially right now, they're thinking about a liver detox and everything
Yeah,
and really wanting to just really flush everything out.
yeah.
But think about it as the analogy of say a garden hose, right? A garden hose that is sluggish and sludgy, there's stuff in it. You hook it up to the faucet and you turn it on full blast, and what happens? You know, either whatever is plugged comes out with a whoosh, or it doesn't, and the garden hose starts to go like this until it busts, right?
Yeah.
So when we do like a liver flush or a liver cleanse, we have to make sure that the pathway for all of those toxins to come out, literally your ability to go to the bathroom. So I like to start with a tea, something simple as far as supplements. You can get those same ingredients that Melissa was talking about, like slippery elm, marshmallow root, peppermint, all the good things, right? In a tea, you can get them in a supplement form that's a little bit stronger. However, I would always start with a tea, especially if you think you've got some real sluggishness happening in the liver first.
Yeah.
Another really, really great one is to activate your bile production. Bile in the body is another unsung hero. That's like your Dawn dish soap, your cleanser. We need that to happen and be happening well. So if you use something gently, something that's like a TUDCA or some sort of an ox bile when you have a fatty meal, that can really help start moving that through. But there's a real process to clearing the liver, and it starts with what comes in here and what goes on here first, and making sure that you're able to go to the bathroom. And then you can work up and really, start cleansing the liver, because it's a complex process. And if we don't kind of get the progression right, we can actually make ourselves feel pretty awful.
Yeah. Well, and hydrating you guys too,
Oh,
making
that's
sure you're
huge.
drinking water, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think that's something that, I end up talking to
We
clients a
forget
lot
about.
about. Yeah, like you got to make sure.
Mhm.
And it's funny, like I have been, like I got on with a client last week, and one of my college kids, and she was in such a better mood. And honestly, her mom had gotten cups for Christmas that she loved. And so she's been drinking water
Yay.
out of them. And I laughed because I was like, you realize like your whole demeanor. And then it happened with a second teenager I work with who normally gets on, and she's like, and I can barely see her. And she's like in a dark room, and she got on, the lights were on. And I'm like, what has gotten into you? And she's like, well, I've been drinking water. And I was like, so,
It's
we
huge.
underestimate how much just hydrating, right, makes a difference.
Can I tell
So,
you a story about that?
yes, please do.
So, in my early years of coaching and working as a functional medicine practitioner, I was on a team who was doing intense research around lifestyle and food changes for people who have lupus and
Yeah,
rheumatoid arthritis.
okay.
And just actually hydrating was one of the, how do I say, biggest changers in how they not only were able to feel better initially, but to continue. Like, we followed them for a year after they went through our program. And it seems food was important, but water was more important.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you think of how much of us is made of water, right? And how lousy when you get dehydrated. I mean, I
Yeah.
became a really good water drinker, I think around like 13, 14. And
Mm-hmm.
then since then, it's like I always have my water, and it's almost become like a little
Mm-hmm.
security blanket for me. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then also a good quality electrolyte can help too, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Not all electrolytes are created equal. Please don't touch Gatorade, or what's that other one? It's like
I don't
fluorescent.
know.
I don't know, they're gross. So there's some really good ones out there for sure, but make sure that that if you're using one, you double check with Melissa or myself. You know, we have one with
Yeah.
our bond, and then there's another one through a company called Element, LMNT. I like that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so but realizing that, yeah, you've got to make sure that you're hydrating. If you're not,
Yeah,
nothing's working, right? And which ties
exactly.
into, and your liver needs water to help it be flushing out all these things. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, if you got a slide, like, for those of us that grew up with little, you know, swing sets in your backyard, and you got like mud on the slide, and you spray the hose down it again, right? Well, if there's no water coming down the hose, nothing's moving it down. So you need to
Yeah.
have
I love that analogy.
water, right? It's true though. So,
Oh, yeah. I love it.
yeah, but it can make a huge difference too. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think there's some great basic things you guys can do. If anyone has questions about the tea or whatever, please reach out. I like I said, I love
Yep.
that. I feel like it's a superstar. And then, but thinking about it, like, all right, what can I change in my habits that are going to help me set up myself up for
Yes.
success with this? So I think that's a big piece of it, you guys. And don't think of it as a resolution. I don't really like resolutions. I always start my year with a word. That's going to
Mm.
be like my infrastructure for the year. And
Mm-hmm.
then I always, well, I'm constantly thinking like, what are habits I can tweak, and so um, challenge yourself to do that, because that'll feel a lot better than these crazy resolutions. And because if you give yourself the roadmap of how to get to said bigger goal, that's going to certainly feel a lot better than overwhelming yourself, right?
Yeah. I love that. So, what would be a way that people could talk to you about your 30-day?
Yeah, so I mean, I think best is, you can find me on Instagram, Mel Age as well as my handle, or you can email me. melissa.medeiros@gmail.com.
Got it.
Either of those can easily work. And, I'm happy to set up one-to-ones to talk to folks. We have a big group starting next week. And what's cool, what I love about this group actually, and it's not just my clients, it's clients from a bunch of us, but everyone just wants to feel better.
Mm.
And I love that focus versus the weight loss. The weight loss comes as the result, right? But if we focus on how we feel, like I had a client reach out to me the other day. So she's lost 60 pounds over the last year, making consistent changes. And I was obviously so happy for her because that's a great amount of weight to lose, and she needed to lose it. But she's feeling so much better. And that was the thing. Like I had shared a post to my VIP page, and she was like, how I feel is what's so important. And you can see it in her face and her skin, so all these things add up, you guys. So definitely don't be alarmed. I think people get nervous to commit to something for 30 days. And it's like, and it's my favorite saying, progress over perfection. And I actually found this sticker yesterday in my planner, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. So, but I would love to talk to you about what your goals are and how I can support you in them. But changing up food, as Melissa knows, is one of my favorite things to talk about because I think it's so important. So
I love
maybe
that.
one of these days I'll make my cookbook that everybody keeps asking me to make. So.
I love that. Yeah. And I love that we're kind of laying this out in steps, right? So really addressing what's coming in through the mouth, what's going on the skin. And especially if you're able to take some of these initial steps, and if you aren't able to reach the wellness level that you want to get to, reach out to me. We go deep. We figure out, the whys, what is happening, because laying this foundation of really, addressing what's coming in here and addressing what's going on here, that can be life-changing. But sometimes it doesn't go as far as we need it to go. So I'm glad that you're starting a group here soon. So if you guys want to hop in and join in with the group that's already forming, that would be maybe a great step for you. In our practice over here at Sagebrush Wellness, we're also starting a group program. It's a hybrid. It's called the Gut Recovery Blueprint, and it goes deep into the whys behind what is happening in the body. So I almost feel like if you could go through and really work on the food piece with Melissa and really get a good start thinking about what you're putting in your body, what you're putting on your body, and then moving into like a really intense gut recovery, that could be a really great first step, second step for you, especially if you are feeling lost about what to do and how to do it. Because we walk through these things with you.
Yeah. Well, it's overwhelming out there, right? And we are all inundated this time of year with like this cleanse, that
so
cleanse.
Many things.
And I would say, really, you guys, the way you want to, I guess, you're going to increase your chances of success if you have someone holding your hand through it, right? And
a community.
Yes, and a community. And I know like a lot of my clients who are doing it are people that are they've done it a bunch of times before, and this has become just their way. They keep tweaking and getting better at how they're doing it. They share really great insight. And then also, we have, Melissa's insight is so valuable. And I know personally from, how I've been feeling and how my healing. So I agree, Melissa. I think if people could, approach it from both angles, you're going to see a massive difference in how you feel, especially if, your intention for this year is, I want to feel better, so.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. So reach out, guys, if you're like, okay, yep, I'm in, let's go.
Yeah. Let this be the year you take care of you, right? I think the last 3 years there's been a lot of weirdness and heaviness, and I think, I feel a shift in people wanting to just take care of themselves and not kind of keep leaning on some of the excuses we had, right? And so, which some folks did not use, right? But, I think for people that have been kind of in a haze, it's like, okay, now's the time. I got to get it together, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Well, we thank you guys. We are here to hope you have a healthy 2023 and beyond. And so, but we'd love to help you on that journey.
Love it. Enjoy your day.
You too.